What if I told you that after the first year of setting up your garden, you could grow food every season without buying anything? No seeds, no fertilizer, no compost, no soil amendments, no annual trip to the garden center where you spend $100 on products you are not even sure you need. Most gardeners assume that growing food requires ongoing investment. Bags of compost every spring, new seed packets every year, bottles of fertilizer every few weeks. And for most gardens, that is true because the system is designed around purchased inputs. But there is another way to run a garden where the system produces its own fertility, generates its own seeds, and sustains itself without constant outside purchases after the first year. I did not believe this was possible until I built it. My first year of gardening, I spent over $300 on seeds, soil, amendments, containers, and tools. My second year, I spent about $150 on seeds and compost. By the third year, I spent $11, a bag of cover crop seed, and a packet of a new variety I wanted to test. Everything else came from the garden itself. The soil was feeding itself. The seeds were saved from the previous harvest. The compost was produced on site. The pest management was structural. Nothing needed to be purchased because the system had become self-sustaining. In this video, I am going to show you the 5 elements that make a garden nearly free to operate after the first year, how to set each one up, and the realistic timeline for when each element starts paying for itself. Stay to the end because element 5 is the one that eliminates the single largest recurring gardening expense, and most people never bother learning it. Element 1 is on-site compost production. Compost is one of the biggest recurring costs for most gardeners, $20 to $50 every season for bagged compost, more if you buy premium blends. But almost every household already produces enough organic waste to make all the compost a small garden needs. Kitchen scraps like vegetable peels, fruit scraps, coffee grounds, eggshells, and tea bags provide nitrogen. Yard waste like leaves, grass clippings, cardboard, shredded paper, and small branches provide carbon. Combined at roughly a 30-to-1 carbon to nitrogen ratio in a simple bin at least 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, this material breaks down into finished compost in 3 to 4 weeks using hot composting or 3 to 6 months passively. I built my first compost bin from 4 free pallets and a handful of screws. Total cost, $0. By the second season, it was producing enough compost for my raised beds without buying a single bag from the store. And the compost was actually better because it was fresh, biologically active, and made from local material instead of sitting dry in plastic packaging for months. Once a garden starts producing its own compost, one of the largest yearly expenses disappears permanently. That single element eliminates $20 to $50 per year in perpetuity, and the compost system gets stronger every season because the garden itself produces more and more biomass to feed it. Element 2 is chop and drop fertility cycling. Even with composting, many gardeners still remove huge amounts of fertility from their property without realizing it. Tomato vines go into the trash. Bean plants get pulled and discarded. Herb trimmings are thrown away. Weeds are bagged and removed. Then fertilizer is purchased to replace the nutrients that just left the system. A self-sustaining garden reverses that flow completely. Healthy plant material stays on site. Tomato suckers pruned during the season are dropped directly under the plants. Finished bean vines are chopped at the base and left as mulch. Herb cuttings scatter across the soil surface. This material decomposes directly in the bed, feeding earthworms, fungi, and microorganisms exactly where they already live. At the same time, it acts as mulch, protecting soil moisture, reducing weeds, and moderating temperature while slowly releasing nutrients back into the root zone. Over time, beds managed this way develop darker, softer, more biologically active soil because fertility is cycling continuously instead of leaving the property. The only material removed is diseased plant matter. Everything else stays. Combined with the compost system, the garden becomes a nearly closed fertility loop where nutrients circulate internally,
instead of constantly being imported and exported. Nothing comes in, nothing goes out. The system feeds itself. Element 3 is cover cropping for free nitrogen. Nitrogen is the nutrient gardens consume most aggressively, and it is the primary reason gardeners buy fertilizer.
But nitrogen is also freely available in the atmosphere. It makes up 78% of the air you breathe. Legume cover crops like crimson clover, field peas, and winter vetch work with soil bacteria to pull nitrogen from the air and store it underground in root nodules. When these cover crops are chopped down a few weeks before planting season and left in place, that nitrogen becomes available to the next crop naturally. At the same time, the cover crop suppresses weeds, protects soil from erosion, improves soil structure, and adds huge amounts of organic matter as it decomposes. One small bag of cover crop seed, about $3, can replace a surprising amount of fertilizer across an entire garden, and eventually even that seed can be saved from your own plants once a portion is allowed to mature fully, which means even that $3 annual cost drops to zero. I started sowing crimson clover anywhere a bed would sit empty for more than a few weeks. By the second season, those beds consistently showed darker leaves, faster early growth, and better moisture retention compared to bare beds. The difference is visible within the first 2 weeks of spring planting. The fertility system was no longer depending on purchased nitrogen because the garden was generating its own. Element 4 is structural pest management that eliminates most purchased sprays and treatments. Most gardeners approach pests reactively, spending $15 to $40 per year on neem oil, traps, insecticidal soap, or whatever product promises a quick fix. But productive low-input gardens prevent many pest problems structurally before they ever explode. Basil planted between tomatoes disrupts scent signals pests use to locate crops. Marigolds suppress certain soil pests underground. Dill, yarrow, and sweet alyssum attract beneficial insects that actively hunt aphids, caterpillars, and other destructive pests. Nasturtiums act as trap crops that pull insects away from vegetables entirely. Once these systems are established, they often maintain themselves naturally. Alyssum self-seeds aggressively. Yarrow returns larger every year as a perennial. Dill reseeds itself if a few plants are allowed to flower. The beneficial insect populations stabilize because habitat exists permanently instead of temporarily. I planted my first insectary strip 3 seasons ago and have not purchased a pest control product since. The predators arrived, overwintered, and returned in larger numbers every year. By the second season, I stopped finding hornworms on my tomatoes because parasitic wasps from the yarrow were finding them first. The system itself became the pest management strategy instead of relying on outside inputs. Element 5 is the one that ties everything together: seed saving. Most gardeners spend $30 to $75 per year buying the same seed packets every single year without realizing how unnecessary that is. A single tomato contains enough seeds to grow 50 or more plants. One pepper produces over 100 seeds. A few dried bean pods become next season's entire planting stock. Letting one lettuce plant bolt can produce thousands of seeds, more than most people could use in years. The process is simple for most crops. For tomatoes, scoop the seeds into a jar of water, let them ferment for 2 to 3 days to remove the gel coating, rinse, and dry on a plate. For peppers, scrape the seeds from a ripe fruit and dry them for a week. For beans and peas, leave the pods on the plant until they are dry and brown, then shell and store. For lettuce, let one plant bolt completely, wait for the fluffy seed heads to dry, and shake them into a bag. Store all seeds in a cool, dry, dark place. A sealed jar in a closet works fine. They remain viable for 2 to 5 years, depending on variety, and something even more interesting begins happening over time: local adaptation. Seeds saved from plants that performed well in your exact climate, soil, pests, and watering conditions gradually adapt specifically to your garden. Germination rates improve, plants become more reliable. I started saving tomato, bean, basil, lettuce, dill, cilantro, and pepper seeds 3 seasons ago. Last season, I bought only one new variety to experiment with because everything else already existed inside the system. My total seed purchase was $11. Over 3 years, seed saving has eliminated roughly $150 in seed purchases. And the savings compound every year because every variety you save is one you never buy again. And when all 5 systems are working together, compost production, chop and drop fertility cycling, cover crops, structural pest management, and seed saving, the garden begins operating like a self-sustaining ecosystem instead of a project that constantly consumes money. Fertility is produced internally. Seeds come from the previous harvest. Pest control comes from biodiversity and habitat. Soil improves every season instead of degrading. Water retention increases naturally because organic matter keeps building, and every cycle makes the next cycle easier. My garden currently costs me under $20 per year to run, and most of that is optional. A new variety I want to try, an extra bag of cover crop seed for a new bed. The core system generates everything it needs on its own. Year 1 is investment. Year 2 is transition. Year 3 and beyond is compounding. That is the difference between a garden that depends on outside inputs forever and a garden that increasingly produces what it needs on its own. Over time, the system becomes cheaper, more resilient, and more productive at the exact same time. And once you experience that shift, you stop thinking about gardening as something you constantly buy supplies for and start seeing it for what it really can become: a living system that feeds itself while feeding you. If you want to see how to set up the garden layout that makes this self-sustaining system work, watch the 4x8 raised bed video next.